Hey there. So today I'm going to be talking about leaders. It's going to be 5 leaders that I think stock is going to go up for, and 5 that I think their stock might fall down a little bit with the release of new cards starting with set 2 and for the future. This is just a little fun exercise. I'm going to have maybe some interesting leaders, some stars that I think might decrease in value, and some maybe hidden gems that we'll be able to build around in the future. If you have your own list or your own opinions, please let me know. I'm curious to see where you might disagree. And let's start with a big one. Number 5 faller for the future. The thorn of the metagame, as some might say, Boba Fett. So, I don't think Boba Fett's ever going to be bad. I think just things are going to catch up to him. Right now, I think he's kind of carried by the fact that his number's big, right? He has big number. Fire Spray, his best unit, has big number. He makes big numbers. He attacks base. Base dies, right? Boba Fett is a very linear deck right now. It's entirely hinges on his flip turn, generating 8 resources, and then following up with some of the best cards we have released so far, Fett's Fire Spray and Darth Vader. He is the most overstated leader in the game with his 4/7 stat line, which is bigger than most 6-cost leaders. He's kind of the whole total package right now. I just think there isn't that much synergy around him other than play good 5-cost things to like make his 8 resource turn really huge. He's already got some of the best cards in the game in his deck. Like, he's got the best 3-drop, Boba Fett, Fett's Fire Spray. I mean, if they power creep Fett's Fire Spray, okay, sure. I mean, if he gets like Jango Fett's like a 7-drop, 12/12, sure. But for the most part, I think the core of this deck is kind of there already. I don't think he's ever going to go away because his numbers are huge. But I think a lot of decks will catch up, and he won't be this like de facto mid-range king forever. All right, number 5, Riser, Grand Admiral Thrawn. So I think a lot of what's holding this guy back is that he shares a color with the guy we just talked about, Boba Fett, and he doesn't get Fett's Fire Spray. He gets Chimera, which is not a good card. So he doesn't get the pure power that in like card quality that Fett gets. And on top of that, I think he's in a weird spot with his color because he very much reads to me like a pure control leader. I think the best thing you can do with him right now is try to stall as much as possible for like a board wipe with like Super Laser Blast, which is an interesting thing. It's just that you're always kind of playing a little bit behind tempo when you're using his ability. And yellow, especially right now, is kind of purely tempo based. It's not a very controlling color. Most of the interaction is temporary, like Waylay and No Good to Me Dead. Their units are more aggressively slanted than defensive, right? Like 7th Fleet Defender, Boba Fett. So I think as our card pool expands, either to just be able to dig much deeper into like blue, or we get some more controlling yellow tools, as well as the dominance of Boba Fett himself maybe decreasing, maybe we get some more pushed interaction specifically for Thrawn, then I think his value can go up. I'm interested to see what we'll be able to come up with because there is something quite appealing about his stat line. The 3/9 is just humongo, right? The 9 health is bigger than anything except Palpatine. And it's something I'd be interested to see in the future. All right, number 4, Faller, Director Krennic. This is one I'm probably like not the most comfortable saying he'll fall in. I think this has less to do with him as a leader and more him as an archetype right now. I think like this mid-rangey control shell might not like stand the test of time. I think he's not much of a healer, right? I mean, he's got Restore 2, but you don't generally heal very much with him, so you're not typically like aiming for this like really long attrition game with him. So I think we need to dig much more into his like +1/+0 ability, right? The damage ability. But that sometimes doesn't feel like it synergizes that well with control. I think right now he's like certainly very good, although I think these blue-green control decks have kind of maybe hit a point where they need to figure out a new way to attack, especially if we're going to see these red-blue control decks in villain like Vader or even Iden, which don't really play units and just kind of try to mill or just kill you with their Vader later. I think right now I'm nervous a little bit about the stock of Krennic because I'm not sure the archetype will be good enough with a larger card pool. And he might end up just needing to be a different style leader, right? It doesn't have to be control. He might be a blue mid-range leader. I just don't see that being possible right now, and I'm nervous about whether or not that would be the right choice in the future. All right, number 4, Riser, Han Solo. Han Solo is already pretty great. I think he suffers a little bit in the mid-range game, especially against Boba Fett. But I could see in the future this guy skyrocketing in value. He has one of the best leader abilities in the game, in my opinion. Playing ahead of curve is really, really strong. We know how good ramp is in this game. He is built in ramp. I think if we get more ways to structure a turn with him, like really strong 5-cost cards combined with 2-cost cards, things that will make his flip turn even more stable, because right now often if you can't play your 7-drop on his flip turn, if he gets removed or interacted with, he sometimes like struggles a lot. Other options for improvements for this deck would be really strong 6-cost cards. I think I've been messing around with a blue Han right now because I think Obi-Wan is kind of actually perfect for what you're trying to do. You can deploy him in front of Han. So sure, you don't get your 7-drop that turn, but it might not matter that much. You get to actually keep your Han around. I think there's options in Han for really strong aggressive decks. I think he doesn't have as much synergy as some of the aggro leaders right now with the aggro package. But if we get more really strong 3 and 4 cost units that he can play ahead of curve, things similar to the power level of like Millennium Falcon, Ezra, Kanan, drawing blanks on some good 4-cost cards because I don't think there are that many. But yeah, I think because his ability is so strong, there is a bright future for Han. All right, number 3, Faller, Luke. So the reason I think he's going to decrease in his power, even though I'm not even very high on him right now, I don't think he has much synergy. I think he's got a generically powerful leader ability and kind of an okay powerful unit side, right? He's a 4/7 for 6, which is strong. It's not compared to Boba, it's weak, right? But that's not the main point. It's just that there's not much, in my opinion, to build around Luke. So I think as more cards become available, usually like generic power ends up falling in value, whereas like synergy-based power will increase. It's a similar reason I think Boba Fett will decrease in value, and Luke I just think will probably get hurt even more because he's a little clunky in general, being a 6-cost leader. He doesn't have too much early game utility with his ability past the first couple turns because it's hard to find time to like shield things in a lot of games. I'm just worried that, well, I'm not worried. I just think he's not going to stand the test of time either. I think there's going to be a lot of leaders that kind of lap him as like mid-range like piles, and will probably end up doing better than him. All right, number 3, Riser, Chirrut, one of my favorite leaders. Pretty simple why I think he's going to go up. I think he's the best Force enabler in the game. I think any cards that come out that either are Force enablers, good units with the Force trait, and more specifically Force payoffs, cards like Force Throw, right? Forces with me, like more cards like that. This is the first place I'm looking to stick him. He's a 5-cost leader. He's basically invincible when he comes out. He's the best shell for those cards currently. I expect he will remain the best shell for all Force-related activities in the future. So, although I think he's great right now, I think he has very good upwards mobility with more card releases. Pretty simple on this one. All right, number 2, Faller, Hera. All right, well, my issue with Hera is that the leader card itself is just not good, right? You don't even get an ability on the front side. The back side ability is a weak Tarkin ability. It's one of the weakest unit leaders in the game because of that. It's 4/6 without a very powerful ability. Obviously, I expect more Spectre cards to come out, but unless we're talking about cards in various colors, like pushing power levels of cards like Overwhelming Barrage and Fett's Fire Spray and like Super Laser Tech and Luke Skywalker, right? She needs bombs in lots of colors so that you can play them all and like undo the fact that you're playing almost a meaningless leader. And that's kind of why I worry with her, right? I think you can actually make a pretty decent deck with her right now. It's just that as more cards come out, I think it's going to get more and more punishing to be playing a leader that just isn't a good card in and of itself, right? You're relying so much on the power level of various Spectres in various colors that unless those cards are incredibly pushed, it's going to be hard for her, I think, to like elevate in her power. All right, number 2, Riser, Grand Inquisitor. I think he will increase in value because I think his ability is incredibly powerful, although very limited right now. That ready ability is really, really strong. We just need more good targets for it. There are quite a few already, right, in various colors, like the Stormbike Pursuer in blue, Fifth Brother in red, Boba Fett unit and like 7th Fleet Defender in yellow. Even up the curve, we got Baze, we got Seventh Sister. There are good cards to target with him. We just need more. What else we need? More Force units that aren't as anemic as the one red villain currently has right now. I think although Fifth Brother is pretty good in his deck, and so is Seventh Sister, they aren't amazing, and they certainly aren't good on defense, so they tend to not stick around on the board too much, enabling Force cards like Force Throw and Force Lightning even more difficult. I think in and of itself, he will likely be one of the better Force leaders to enable in the future, right? He costs 6. The other leaders in villain that have Force trait are more expensive. Additionally, he enables some of these Force units better than other leaders. I just think we need more so, even though like more so than Chura even. I think what villain needs is good Force units, and then we'll be good. It's less about the payoffs, more about the enablers, and give me more units to target with his ability, and I'm excited for some like combo potential in the future for Grand Inquisitor. All right, number 1 Faller. I hope this doesn't upset anyone. I think it's Leia. I think she is so tied to the Rebel trait, and right now most of the good units in Hero are Rebel. I don't think that will be the case forever. I think we will likely see a separation from Rebel, especially when it comes to aggro in the future, and that's just going to knock her down. I think even if we get good Rebels, it's not that other leaders can't run them. It's just that she has to kind of run all of them, and right now, I think that's pretty easy. In the future, I don't think that's going to be as easy. I think she's already fallen down as the premier aggro strategy, so I think she'll probably need to retool as sort of a mid-range deck, which is possible. And maybe if we get some good mono green cards, she'll be able to like retool into like a mono green mid-range deck. I think this one is too narrow in its synergy, right? I like synergy-based leaders. I think most of them will increase in value, but Leia, I think it's just too narrow, right? No matter how many Rebels we get, unless they're all busted, but if it's going to be tough to like maintain her as a top tier leader. And if they are all busted, I mean, it's not, they can still get run in other leaders. So I'm not sure she'll end up even being the best shell for that in the future. We'll see if I'm wrong. And the number one riser, I think this one's like pretty easy call. Palpatine's ability, for people who've played other card games, I think know that having like a self-sacrifice ability with value attached to it probably ends up busted in some point, right? We need more units that do good things when they die. We need things that we can play from our discard pile. In combination with those, and combination of potentially more early game stall cards. I mean, we even have one that was leaked a little while ago, a 2/3 Sentinel in blue villain that costs 2. But anything that helps make him a little better early on. I don't think he'll ever be favored into like hyper aggro decks, but if that matchup spread can be narrowed a little bit with a wider card pool, and then we get good synergy for his ability, and honestly, I think there's just no way we don't get good synergy for his ability. There's a few cards right now like Vanguard Infantry, right? That when it dies, you get an experience. It's like not great. But it's probably okay in Palpatine, right? There's the patrolling V-Wing, I think, the 1/1 that when it comes into play, you draw a card. It's another decent thing to be sacrificing. It's just that we need more things that like affect the board more profoundly with their sacrifice, and then we can start really cooking with this guy. It's just so much value. He is the ultimate control top end because his unit is really, really strong, right? Really good stats. Immediately steals something. I think this will be kind of the de facto control strategy. Now, I'm not talking like mill or like pure stall, right? I don't think that's where Palpatine is headed. I think he's headed more to like unit-based control, kind of what we think of as like the Iden greens, the Krennic greens. Like that's kind of where I think he is going to carve his role, and I think he will be kind of the top end of that strategy. And I think his stock is going to increase a ton with more cards. I'm super excited for him because I'm already kind of really into building with him. So just can't wait to see what else we can do. All right, so that's a wrap. I appreciate you watching. Please take time to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment with your own list. Tell me how wrong my list is. It's all appreciated. And until next time, take care.